Good morning, everyone. Welcome to January webinar. It's nice to see everyone. Just give it one more minute. Looks like everyone is at school today, judging by the backgrounds. It's encouraging. Oops. Did my slideshow change? What do you see on my screen right now? Is it in slideshow mode?
It looks normal.
Okay. Oh, I see what happened. Okay, got it. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here today. Really appreciate your time. I know last week for many of us was a pretty bumpy start, bumpy return to the new year. So hoping this week is a little bit better, but we have heard from schools that at least 2 of our districts went remote as of yesterday. So I know things continue to be ever changing. So as always, if you could, just to help us out, change your name so that we know if you're a priority or a cohort school. Actually, we know, but so you all know each other, who's a priority, who's a cohort, with your school name and then your name. And I think most of you have probably done this before now, but as a reminder, if you go into the participant list, you can select your name there and change it, or you can hover over your picture and click on the 3 dots and it gives you a chance to rename yourself there. See that happening, so thank you. If anyone needs help with that, you can put a question in the chat too. I think that everyone that is here has been here before, so. All right, so just to say hello from us. We have most of our team here today. Christina is not able to join us, but the rest of the team is here, and this is Dan's first coffee break webinar with us. So we're going to give him a chance to introduce himself in just a moment. And then a special welcome to our new staff. That seems to also be ever evolving this year. So we have a new coordinator at Mansfield. She started last month, Katie Pete. And then Jesus, I think I saw him here. Jesus has joined the Eastmont team. He was here over the summer doing some summer school stuff, but now is on staff. So welcome, Jesus. I haven't actually had the chance to meet you yet. Looking forward to that. And then Kaylin, we have a new tutor at Choice. And then I'm not sure if Stephanie Gilbert's on, but she is, oh, there is Kaylin, thank you. And then Stephanie Gilbert is back from maternity leave. So really glad she had that time off with her baby, and we need some baby pictures soon. I think I caught everyone. Did I miss anyone? Okay. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Dan. I think we have a quick poll where we're going to do a quick poll right here. Okay.
Yeah, so Beth is going to launch that poll out and kind of find out if some people have ever worked with me before when I was running Gear Up. So I just want to take a couple moments here to introduce myself to you all. Over the last 2 years, during this crazy COVID time, I actually was working for a small private high school here just outside of Olympia as the director of communications and admissions. And my son is a senior at that school. My wife is the assistant principal at that school. So it was just really a great opportunity for me to be at a high school and working through student admissions, as well as hearing about all of our juniors and seniors and their college plans and school visits. It was so Gear Up focused, I couldn't even believe it, even though that school doesn't have a Gear Up program. So when this position came open, I just thought, wow, I've been prepped up over the last 2 years to have a shot at this particular role. If you have any particular questions at some point about my last 2 years, that's great. My consulting business, training business, Challenge Applications, I've run for over 25 years, but when COVID came, it just kind of fell off the end of the earth, as you can imagine. We couldn't do anything face to face. Even virtually was really kind of difficult. There are a couple pictures there. You know, some of you will recognize those schools. I think there's Pateros there and Willapa in there, Waikiakum. And then there's that small picture on the left that was the school where I was working. Next slide, please. So just some other background. I have worked in 6 different schools around the United States, both public schools and private schools. I've taught at the K-8 level, middle school, high school, and was also a business professor at Pierce College. So I've worked with Running Start students and people who came back to school mid-career and so forth. So it's been really nice to be involved in such a broad array of educational opportunities here across the United States. It says National Trainer for ACCT, and that in a nutshell, that picture of me, I'm about 45 feet off the ground there. I was a national trainer for challenge course, ropes course folks all over the country. So I would go out to various sites and train people how to do high angle rescue training, as well as how to facilitate challenge course experiences. So if you've ever done any of that kind of work, that really is some of my passion work. But of course, I'm not doing that now because I'll just say I'm a little older than I was in that picture. And then finally, my career began in the U.S. Army as an officer. So I was a ROTC graduate back east in Maryland. And as soon as I went on active duty, I was deployed into a combat zone and served my country overseas. But I'm mentioning that because it was very rich for me to be exposed to other cultures and to be immersed in other cultures. And it was there that my passion really came forward, that I wanted to do something with the rest of my life that was to promote peace and collaboration. And so I entered into education. Next slide, please. There's my family. We are very active in our local communities. We like to get out and hike and help serve in some of the local organizations around town to be connected to things. I'm also a musician. If I could do anything in my life, I'd just lock myself in this room in my home studio and play music. I absolutely love being able to do that. And I think I am a creative. I love to design things. So whether that be websites or backyard landscape designs or music projects or video creation, I just know that that's the way I'm built. I've been married for over 30 years. My son Noah is about to graduate and move on. He wants to go into the Navy as a Navy officer. So he's looking at colleges around the country. And I'm so stoked to be able to reconnect with many of you. And for those of you that I don't know, my goal is to be able to get out and meet you as soon as possible when it's safe, you feel safe and I feel safe, so that I can get connected and support you. Next slide. Just want to kind of cover with you really my overarching goals as the associate director. And please understand that this isn't just fluff, right? This isn't just writing some words to sound fancy. I truly mean this in my heart. And I want to support those folks who are on the ground, because you're in the school, you're in the trench, you're there early in the morning to late at night running programs and dealing with families and COVID and all these other things. And so I want to support you. That's the way that I exercise my leadership, is by supporting others. So I have plenty experience in planning and preparing and delivering programs. And I'm super comfortable in front of students, families, board members, politicians, you name it. I don't mind standing in front of folks. So I want to support you however I can. The second one there is I'm really about helping to promote resilience. And I believe that just across the world, the way that we can move through this pandemic and these crazy times is just by building our resilience. So understanding that the only thing in life that we can guarantee is change. And so it's going to make us stronger if we're able to be resilient and be able to change with the times and the conditions. And then finally, I just want to humbly be able to support you and share my experience and expertise, because I come from a varied background of working in public sector and private government. I think that helps me connect with families a little bit more too. I have a ton of room where I can get better at what I do and grow as a person. So I appreciate that the more you communicate with me, the better our relationship will be. So I believe I'm going to give you 100% in my effort, and I hope that you can give us 100% back to make Gear Up even better. So if you have any particular questions, you can ask away offline. You can email me, reach me here at the office, call, whatever it takes. And I'll be sending out some specific contact information for me. Okay, I think I was under 7 minutes there. Thanks for your attention, folks, and I look forward to getting to know you.
Yeah, and so I just want to add, like, so what does that all mean for you, and how our team is evolving, and how our roles shifting? So, you know, since 2007, I've been your person to work on work plans and budgets and help support you in implementation. And over time, my role shifted. I took on more responsibilities, and now with Wea's departure and my shift to director, my responsibilities have changed a little bit more. And so I'm really excited to have Dan as an associate director who can really give his full-time attention to supporting schools and your work plans and implementation. So I think you'll find that you'll have a lot more access, a lot more support and interaction, because this will be Dan's sole job rather than, you know, kind of being spread maybe a little too thin at times. So super excited. I'm not going anywhere. Dan and I are going to be working very closely as we develop this transition. And so right now, if you've had a meeting with us recently, it's been with both of us, and we will continue that for a while, probably a few months really. And then as we get ready to transition to the next school year, we'll let Dan just be on his own. And so again, super excited. Some of you know this, that Dan and I have actually known each other for a really long time. We did our master's in teaching program at Evergreen together about 1 million years ago, I think. Then we kind of both parted ways, did different things for about 20 some years, and then reconnected when he came back to Washington, and he's been working as a contractor with us since 2017. So Dan and I actually did a really adventurous thing and took his students from his small school, private school, and my alternative high school kids on a joint overnight field trip. We can all tell you about that sometime if you want to hear about it. So I feel like we're all really lucky to have Dan join the team. And so thank you, Dan, for that introduction and letting us know a little bit more about who you are. I'd also like to say hi to Christina. I didn't think you were here today. I think I missed you earlier in the gallery. So welcome.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I just missed you. Poll results, Beth. I see that about 13% or 3 of you have worked with Dan through challenge applications before. 30% have attended a presentation he's done, and then about 2/3 just this is your first day meeting him. So that's some good, so familiar to quite a few folks. All right, moving on. We want to hear from you. Just a quick check-in in the chat if you are willing to do so. Just tell us one thing you're looking forward to in 2022. We'll just take a minute to watch those.
Wow, I'm loving all the college tours and campus visits in the chat.
They're in the perfect spot today. All right. Thanks for that. Thanks for checking in with us. I appreciate it. All right, so let's just talk about campus visits just a little bit, and then I'm going to hand it over to Annie to give you some details. But just to remind you of, you know, I say expectations, and in times of COVID, I also say hope related to campus visits. So I know we have quite a few new people in the room today. So as a reminder, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade is all about exposure. Like, what does 2-year mean? What does 4-year mean? What does a VOC training program mean? And so we want students during that 3-year period to visit at least one visit per year to at least one, all two. Oh my gosh, could I mess that up anymore? Let's try this again. Just read the slide. So over that 3-year period, visiting a minimum of 3 different kinds of institutions to expose them to those different types of experiences. And for many of you, you can actually do that in a few ways locally. Most of you have local access. And then sometimes your 2-year school is also a vocational training school. And so you can accomplish that with a single visit. Beth, did you say that someone has a raised hand? Oh, you do. There you go. Go ahead.
This is not like a planted question. This is actually me asking like a real question. I wanted to know, how do virtual visits compare in terms of like grant expectations and like maybe even documenting in the portal? And do career fairs and college fairs also count? So I just wanted to see if there was any ambiguity or what your thoughts were on that.
So college fairs do not count as a college visit. We count them a different way, but they don't meet this requirement. A virtual visit might meet this requirement. It's possible, but it needs to include all of the pieces that Annie's going to talk about in a bit. So if you're just looking at the, you know, UW's video that they call a virtual visit, probably not going to meet the requirements. If it's one of Annie's virtual visits that she did last year and you had students participate, yeah, that's a college visit. So it is a really good question. And if you are wondering about those definitions, I think by the end of today, it'll become a little bit clearer. Then in 10th and 11th grade, we want them to go on one more visit to a school that's aligned with their career interests. So those are really targeted, probably smaller group visits. And then in 12th grade, we want them to visit a campus that they're actually applying to and hope to attend. So we never want a student to apply to Central if they've never been on that campus. That doesn't always go well, right? So we hope that all students can be on a campus that they hope to attend. Any questions about any of that? Thanks for your question, Beth. All right, I am going to turn it over to Annie then.
Awesome. Well, I think I just want to start by saying if you're excited about campus visits this spring, you're in good company. I think all of our institutions are really excited about in-person visits as well. With that being said, if you're kind of out of the swing of planning in-person visits, I think you're also in good company because our institutions have been pausing in that regard too. So this is just kind of a friendly reminder that we're all in a space of revisiting old ways and kind of reformulating how we're going to move forward in this space of in-person and virtual visits. So with that being said, I am going to share my screen and just talk about some of the resources we have on our Gear Up website regarding in-person and virtual campus visits. My screen's over here, so I'm going to be looking away from you as I present, just a FYI. So I wanted to start by talking about what resources we have for students. And the reason that I want to start on this page is because I think there's been a sense maybe of apathy around college visits, especially virtual visits. And I think while we might register that as apathy, I think sometimes it's just a matter of a younger generation of students utilizing the internet and resources differently than maybe we do or they have in the past. So being able to know where student resources are so you can direct students to those is really important. So if you go to the student tab here, you will show up on the student page, which is wonderful. Beth has formatted this page, so it's really super easy to navigate. So if you haven't been here before, I suggest you check it out, and it's pretty hard to get lost. If you want to visit a campus, you go right down to this Visit a Campus tab. And again, this is the student-facing page. So there's a little blurb here about why to visit colleges, and then some information about in-person visits, as well as virtual visits and tours. So in regards to information, this is really just kind of information on how students can orient themselves or begin the process of visiting a school virtually or in person if they're doing it maybe by themselves or with a family member and want to plan like a private visit. There are also video resources on this page. So you'll see the virtual campus visit series here, which is the video series that you also have access to on the educator page. And those are the visits that we recorded last fall and did a few this fall as well. There's also a virtual speaker series here. So this has quick blurbs on like how to apply to college, how to apply for scholarships, an overview of financial aid, very general, broad videos like that. And then most importantly, what I want to point out and why I say this is most important is because I think we see this trend around students who are very college oriented and very college going. Maybe they've already completed their financial aid and maybe they've already visited a college campus. At this point in the year, you may be interacting with a lot of students or trying to connect with a lot of students who aren't necessarily that gung-ho about the college going process. Introducing students to career and technical programs are a really great way to open the door to new conversations and new possibilities. So I just want to point out that that is here as well. But most importantly, information on in-person and virtual visits and tours, as well as that campus, virtual campus visit series. So if we scroll back up, we then go to the educator page. And again, organized really nicely, you'll just click on this campus visits tab. And there are a lot of really wonderful resources here. So again, the virtual campus visit series is here in the orange link, as well as this blue link, which takes you to some more in-depth planning tools around virtual visits. But what I really want to focus on today are two things: the grade level campus visit benchmarks, which is here, and Marcy kind of outlined those benchmarks. But I think it's really nice to be able to see what kind of activities align with those benchmarks. This is a really great way to be able to communicate with whatever campus rep you're talking to, what you really need out of a college visit, whether it's virtual or in person. So again, those benchmarks are right here. And then above that is an awesome and really in-depth handbook about planning a campus visit. So on the side here, you can see the table of contents, which is super helpful for you to click through. So, you know, what we mean by college, campus visit logistics, you know, contacting the college, preparing students, a lot of really great resources. So if you have yet to plan an in-person campus visit, I highly recommend checking out this resource before you dive into contacting a college campus. All right. And then the other resource I want to highlight is a really similar handbook that is oriented towards virtual visits. So there are some nuance in, you know, planning an in-person versus virtual visit. So just want to outline this as well. It talks about activity ideas, things to ask for, you know, from the campus ambassador that you're talking to, and things like that. So I wanted to look at, let's see, where did I find it here? So you'll see in here, this is just a table of Washington State institutions offering virtual tours. It's a really great way to just quickly look at what tours are already available. As Marcy said, a lot of the virtual tours that you'll see provided by the institutions are quick, maybe 3 or 4 minute videos that are really kind of almost drone style views at campus. While those are great, I recommend maybe starting a virtual tour with that and then layering in some additional activities. So students are really figuring out, maybe how to navigate the college's website, doing some scavenger hunts with students, things like that. If you reach out to a campus admissions officer about scheduling a virtual tour, I would be really clear in saying, we see you have this virtual option. How can we utilize that and also talk about these other things within the benchmark to really make sure that students are getting a robust and well-rounded virtual college visit. All right. So I think that's the majority of the resources that I wanted to share. Do we want to pause for questions, or is there anything in the chat that I missed while I was presenting?
I was just going to add that the career tech prep videos can be found in the career exploration tab in the educator section.
Thanks, Beth. Yeah, and along that same line, I wanted to remind folks that really simply, like if this all feels overwhelming to you, I just want to say that when I began planning our virtual visit last fall, it was really as simple as me Googling, WSU tour and finding a contact person and then just starting that conversation and really saying like, hey, this is new for us. Here are the things I need out of a visit. Can you help, make this happen? And they're totally on board and excited to do that. The same is true if you're looking at a vocational or technical program, really making sure you're asking the institution that your focus is outlining virtual and tech options. You can do this with things like job sites or other visits as well. So really just finding that contact person, being clear about what you're asking for, and then following up with any questions or information that they might need.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that a Gear Up campus visit is very different than what a campus admissions office might normally offer you. And so it does take a lot of advocating on behalf of your students. So a typical visit might include a visit to, maybe the admin office, probably the sports complex, probably a dorm in the food service area, but not really the in-depth admissions and financial aid kinds of information that we're looking for our students. So it does take some advocacy to make sure you're getting what you need for our students. And so that's when that benchmarks document is really helpful, because you can share that. And most of the time what we find is that campuses are really willing to provide that, but it's not going to be part of the typical tour that they offer.
Eva, I see your hands up.
Well, one, I just want to say thank you. Love all your resources, but I might have missed it in that one checkoff list that you had. But are we still? But pre-COVID, we would come up with an itinerary, and we would fill out that one thing online, and then send our itinerary. So if we're going to do the in-person visit, do we still do that? Okay. And then my second part is
Diva,
oh, sorry.
So if the specific visit isn't already part of your plan, then yes, right? So if you just said generic college visits, then yes, you need to do the field trip approval form. But if in your plan it already says, I'm going to Central, I'm going to Eastern, I'm going to Walla Walla, then no, you don't. So it just really depends on what you put in your plan.
Okay, thank you. And then the second part of my question was, so like, for example, in our district, we have like no bus drivers. And so it's like hard to even think about taking a trip right now, just on that portion. And so I've been using like Annie's videos. And so I've done a couple like college visits. Do I need to, in the portal, identify that they're Annie's videos? Or if it works out to where, and maybe this is a question for one-on-one, but if it works out that we don't get to do in person, do I need to change in the plan and say that I use Annie's videos specifically, or does that make sense?
It does. I think I can answer that. So yes, please keep using Annie's visits, and you can call those college visits. And then in the portal, the way you designate that is you say that it was a virtual asynchronous activity. You don't necessarily need to call out that it was Annie's video, but you'd say Clark College virtual visit. And so you can work with Kelly to make sure you have that naming convention correct and that the activity type is all correct. I think, did I miss something though in your question? I feel like I just missed something.
Nope, that worked.
Okay.
That was good.
Okay.
I just was getting confused because it sounded like there was options that we could expose our students to that wouldn't necessarily count for a college visit. So I just wanted to make sure documenting wise it was okay.
Yeah. Annie's will always be college visits. It's more like if you just went to UW's website and watched their virtual, that's when she said, you know, that's like a drone visit. That's not going to work as a college visit. Still fine.
And may I interject really quick? Everybody has virtual college visits in their work plans. I don't know of one work plan that doesn't have those specifically spelled out in your work plan. So make sure you're reading what that description is, and should tell you all you need to know.
And then before we move forward, oh.
No, Annie, I was just going to piggyback on what the previous staff member said of just all the barriers that we're facing, which I know is probably kind of consistent across the board. But for us, we're hoping for visits probably in the summer, not even in the spring, just because of the barriers of the bus drivers. I don't even know how I would get chaperones, because in the past, whenever we've had visits, we would sub out our teacher so that I could try and pair a teacher of that alumni college with that. And there's not even a way to do that just because schools are having to cancel. We had a nearby district who didn't have school yesterday because they didn't have enough subs for their teachers. There were so many positive cases. And for us, we're just kind of hoping at this point, trying just to keep our schools open. And so I feel like for me, whenever I look at the work plan and I see college visits, I get a little nervous. So I appreciate Marcy starting by saying that it's the hope for this year, just because I guess for me, I'm trying to figure out, is it even responsible for me to schedule something that could pull kids out of class? And when there's not even that many kids in class right now as it is. And so we're hoping for summertime, just so that we would have more availability with the buses, with maybe getting a teacher to want to sub. We can't have parent volunteers unless they're vaccinated, which creates another barrier to asking parents to volunteer also. And so, but it's hard because our kids haven't been on a campus since 8th grade. And so I appreciate that as a staff, you guys are aware of all those barriers that we have, and that we have the option to do some virtual stuff between now and when we can get on campus.
Yeah, and thanks for saying that,
Rosalie.
Rosalie. I think that reminds me too, just to say that while, I think the virtual visits that I put on are great, I also really want to emphasize the benefit of, connecting with an admissions counselor or someone on a college campus to specifically give a virtual visit to your students. The benefit of doing that is that the information is more specifically tailored. Students can really have that connection and conversation with folks after the tour. So I really want to, if campus visits are important to you, and I guess what I'm trying to say is it's really important to do whatever you can to make those campus student connections. And I think the best way to do that is to reach out to folks and really schedule those school-specific visits and benchmark-specific visits. And then just one more thing before we move off this topic is, Rosalie, I don't think you're alone in kind of, again, that being the hope, but probably not a promised thing. If you look at this winter and spring college fair, you can see that the majority of them are virtual. So our colleges are understanding of that as well. So this is just a reminder that we have college fairs coming up this winter and spring, both virtual and in person. These are the most up-to-date dates, but anything more up to date will be added to the bulletin. So just keep your eye out for virtual college fair and in-person college fair options.
Any other questions for Annie or me, anyone? Okay. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Beth.
All right. Since you guys are experiencing some challenges, but you're also eager to plan visits in whatever form that looks like, we're going to give you guys some time to talk in small groups. And we want you to think about how you're currently managing campus visits. Where are you deciding to go and why? Is there anything innovative that you're doing? And also, are you interested in perhaps collaborating with other schools on planning perhaps a virtual family event, a virtual tour, a virtual student event? So we're going to give you approximately 10 minutes or so to talk. And I am going to open up rooms. I'm hoping that works. Let's see. Is it not moving people? Let's see. Okay. Just one second. Apologies. It's not. That is not working the way I had planned. Let's see. Just one second.
Not working.
It's not working the way I had planned. It's closing. I'm trying to redo it and it's taking a while for it to close out before it will let me.
Okay. Why don't we just stay here?
I apologize.
Let's just stay here and we can do this conversation here.
Okay, I apologize. I'm sorry.
Okay, am I still screen sharing? Okay, everything on my screen changed, and so I need to find, there we go. All right. So let's stay here and let's just chat. Please jump in and raise your hand, I think, if you have something to offer. Let's just start with the first one. We heard from Rosalie, and we know this is a common story that it's hard to get buses, it's hard to get subs. Those things are pretty significant barriers for most of us right now in trying to get on a campus. And then, dealing with COVID restrictions and potential impact of COVID, either on being able to schedule a visit or adding to the risk of your students. So what kinds of ideas do folks have? If you are able to do visits in the near future, how have you been able to manage that and get that scheduled? We'll just open it up. You can raise your hand and we'll call on you. I think I'll be able to see hands raised. Or just unmute and chime in. Donna, it looks like you're wanting to chat.
Well, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I took the 7th and 8th grade and we went to Perry Tech in Yakima, which is, I don't know, an hour and a half away from us. And their only restriction was it couldn't be more than 10 students at a time for the tour, which ended up nice because we have 20. So we just did 2 trips. And then when I got back to high school, wanted to know why they didn't get to go to Perry Tech. So I'm putting that together now. But unfortunately, we have 12 that want to go and they'll only take 10. And I'm not sure I could justify splitting that and taking 6 and 6. But anyway, and it was so fun to get on a campus and And then I'm trying to, or I'm putting together, I'm not trying, I'm putting together in, I think in March, because the weather will be better. There's a art institute in Tacoma that 4 kids want to go to that are kind of budding artists. So it's hard because the superintendent, we have to get a place where everybody has their own room. And it's really expensive if you get like even a Motel 6 or something like that. There's like 6 rooms. So he's sought maybe one of the VRBOs or something. And so I was looking at that to see in Tacoma area, I could find one with 5 rooms, but we were having 6 people. So I don't know, maybe somebody could sleep on the couch. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how that's going to look. And then I was talking to him today and he says, well, don't make too hard set plans because we don't know in March if we're even going to be open. So I mean, it's just so frustrating though, you can't make any, if you're planning right today, it's okay. But if you're trying to make long-term plans, it's really hard to hear that.
Will you share with us the reason that everyone needs to have their own room? Because that's not very common in school field trips. So what is that a COVID?
Yeah, he's concerned that everybody's too close together. Like originally I could take the van with the 7th and 8th graders, but he was concerned that everybody would be shoulder to shoulder. So we had to take a bus so that they could, every other seat on the bus. And then they don't want anybody sharing rooms because of the COVID deal. So even if the bedrooms or the beds are like apart, he still doesn't feel comfortable allowing me to take the kids.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you had a successful couple of visits to Perry Tech. That's encouraging. Anyone else? Don't know if, is Erin on? Is Erin here?
Yes, I am here. I was just typing in the chat. My video is not working, so I'm very sorry.
Okay. That's okay.
Yeah, so we are doing rotating field trips. And so kind of before this spike, we decided we're fortunate where we are because we have a lot of colleges and universities kind of nearby. So we're going to focus on that. So every Friday, we're going to take no more than 10 because that's what all of the places are allowing us to do. So no more than 10, but we're going to focus each month on a different college so that we have multiple trips going. And then we're just going to try this from now until the end of the school year. Yeah, and we'll see. We got a lot of stuff going on at our school too. So far, we haven't been able to make one yet, but I figure if we have to just kind of roll forward and every Friday is a game time decision, then that's just kind of where it's at right now. So yeah, hopefully this Friday we'll get to go.
My fingers are crossed for you, Erin. I know you've worked hard on that plan. And I kind of like that colleges are limiting it to 10 because I think that's a way more meaningful experience. I think that like that part isn't really a bad thing. It makes our work a little bit harder, but I like that they're small groups.
I see that we have a question from Carrie.
Well, that actually just kind of negated my question because I was thinking if we have such specific requirements for the visits that schools would want, a larger group rather than, for example, I can only take about 7 kids at a time because we just don't have the transportation available. So I can take them in the van, that's not a problem. But I was thinking if I had like a partner at another school that also could only take small groups, that we could kind of put them together, meet up at the colleges and, make it worth the college's while to take our larger group around as opposed to just my 7 students. But if the colleges are, breaking that down and they're only doing groups of 10, then that kind of negates that plan.
I think it really varies by campus.
Carrie, I will say that if I have students that are interested and I only have like a few of them, that might be a good idea for us to collaborate since we are so close too. Because sometimes I'm only getting, a few students when I could fit up to 7. So maybe we can make something work.
Okay, that would be great, because there are a few that, especially like my seniors, I have such a few amount of seniors that are planning to attend college, that I may only have 3 or 4 that want to go on an overnight trip somewhere. So Haley, we should definitely get together on that.
I'll shoot you an email.
Thank you, Haley and Carrie. That's exciting to think about. Christina, you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, because it's kind of the same issue that everybody else is having. Not sure if we're going to be able to get a bus to be able to take more than a handful of students. Certain places that we were looking at going only allow so many students. So I think for us as a priority school, I've really been focusing right now a little bit more on the 11th and 12th graders, because I kind of feel like if I can get them to some of the technical schools or programs and their colleges before they leave, kind of thing, because I feel like, unfortunately, they haven't had the opportunities that some of the other students before, have had, or the ones that are coming up. So I've had to really kind of focus. And so for us, I think it's working with those students, not to say that I want to throw out the 9th and 10th graders by any means, but if we're only going to be able to do a couple of trips potentially, if we're able to get the buses, or we can only have so many in a van, that's kind of how we're looking at it. And we've had to make some decisions too on when we're looking at who could we possibly take, looking at attendance for students. It's not a battle, but I understand when teachers are like, hey, a student's finally come in, we've had a lot of absences, and now I want to take them on a field trip, then I kind of, get the evil glare a little bit from them, which I completely understand, because we're looking at, we want them to pass the classes, we want them, to be attending school and everything else, but balancing also, what career do they want to get into, exposing them to different things. So I think that's been more of a battle this year that we're trying to kind of, so I feel like, unfortunately, we're kind of picking and choosing a little bit more of our students, but just because that we also go, hey, it's great for you to come and visit, but if you're not passing any classes, we're not getting you where you need to go. So that's kind of what we're working on right now.
Yeah, great point. I think we have time for one more comment from Beth, and then we need to transition. So go ahead, Beth.
Well, I guess I could roll mine into the next portion. It's so if anybody else has any other questions, I can wait.
Okay, I'll go back to sharing. Thank you all for that feedback. And yeah, as you are moving through those challenges, and if there's anything we can do to help support you, please reach out to us. So I'm going to put the slide back up.
So I guess my thoughts are that what I'm hearing folks say is, there's so many challenges, even if you have that, even if schools are open, with busing and kids' schedules and everything, that you're still, even in the best case scenario, you're still only able to take a very small percentage of your Gear Up students. And so to me, and I'm not disputing the value of in-person visits. I think they're wonderful. And if you're serving like 11th and 12th graders, I feel like Christina is kind of mentioning, like in a triage mode, like we really need to get these kids to see these things to make some sort of informed decision about their post-high school plan. And so what this kind of leads into this poll that I have is around maybe spending some efforts in collaborating with other schools of a similar size or a similar region on maybe planning a virtual visit or a family event or student event. Last year, the cohort schools, some of them collaborated on an event, and it helped get larger attendance, and then like all the workload wasn't just on one Gear Up staff member either. And so I'm wondering if, again, I'm not trying to dispute, again, the value of in-person visits, but for the amount of energy that you guys are going through to plan these in-person visits for a very small fraction of Gear Up students. I'm wondering if it would be, at this point in the school year, if it would be better to pause and just spend some of that energy on planning virtual visits, because they reach a larger percentage of students and families, and they can occur in the evening. They can occur regardless of distance of the school. They don't have all those constraints. I know they're not as great in some ways as in person. I don't, Marcy might have her own opinion. I just kind of went on a little rant. But I do have a poll. I do have a poll about if anybody's interested in collaborating with other schools of perhaps a similar size or similar region. If Annie, if you wouldn't mind launching the poll, I would really appreciate it. If you're interested in perhaps collaborating, I can gather who's interested, and then I can share that out later to help maybe foster connections, and maybe Dan, and maybe we can arrange another webinar, a planning webinar, to help facilitate if you wanted to host, like co-host a virtual event to kind of take some of that pressure off. Marcy, am I capturing that sentiment? Is that?
Yeah, I think that's
okay?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, so thanks for doing that. And I think everyone has answered. No, not everyone has answered, but I think we'll go ahead and let you continue answering that and then move on to the next item.
Okay, I have just some quick updates. Marcy, do you want to give the FAFSA updates, and then I'll talk about?
Yeah, well,
go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
let's talk about March first. Sorry, I also have a screen beside me. I have 3 screens going, so when I turn away, I'm still here. We made the decision yesterday that we are going to cancel the March in-person Pro Dev. We just don't feel like it's possible for us to make a good decision about being in person right now. So rather than waiting until the last minute, we're going to go ahead and cancel that in person. We will instead do a webinar on one of those days, maybe a little bit longer. So maybe a 3-hour block. We'll figure that out in the next week or so. And we'll send you a Zoom invite link again, but we are sorry, we're not able to be in person. We all want to see you, but given the sub situation and the risk, we just felt like it was not a good choice. We do still hope to be in person the first week in May in Wenatchee. So we're just going to keep our fingers crossed that we can do year 6 planning in person. And then if you have topics that you'd like us to cover in our February and or March webinars, will you please put those topic ideas in the chat for us? We'd really like to know what you need over the next couple of months, especially.
February, we're planning on talking about scholarships, but we're flexible.
Yeah.
Marcy, I just want to make sure, because I got sidetracked. So it's canceled in person. Are we doing something virtual to replace it?
Yeah, we will. We'll have probably just maybe a little bit longer webinar, maybe 2 or 3 hours on one of those days. So we will update you on that calendar. I think we can do that in the next week. So just watch for that probably in the bulletin so you can register for that.
Sounds great.
Okay, thanks, Haley.
Marcy, and that will take place of the March coffee break, right? The webinar would, or will that be in addition to?
I don't think we had a March coffee break webinar scheduled.
Okay. Oh, because of that. Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. Now I have this wonderful congratulations slide up here for quite a few of our priority schools who are currently exceeding the statewide rate for FAFSA completion. So right now the statewide rate is about somewhere around 25%. That's about 8% lower than it was in COVID times or pre-COVID times for this same time in the year. So statewide, it's about 25%. Normally, we would think it would be about 38%. And those are ballpark figures, Christina. So I think I'm really close. So I wanted to say congratulations to this group of schools because you're doing better than most of the people in the state. And even though it feels like we're struggling a little bit right now, we're doing really pretty well. quite a few others are really close. And then some of you are struggling a little bit more. I just want to acknowledge how hard FAFSA is right now. And this is not a reflection of how hard you're working or your effort. It's where we're living right now in these times. And but really want to congratulate those folks who have powered through and been able to convince families that this is a good idea, and let's learn from that. And I know one of the most effective strategies has been one-on-one family outreach. And that's really what's making the difference for us. So I just want to cheer you on. If you're not there yet, I have a lot of confidence in you. And if you want some help, let us know.
Just a quick reminder about Study Lab. I sent an email. I can resend it again, but you're able to select classes again, and I will register you for the classes. The link to see the class listing and how to register is in the email. I sent it last Friday, so check your email for that.
Okay, now we have a really fast trivia game, and we have fabulous prizes for trivia. Maybe not as fabulous and maybe as a $25 Amazon card, but maybe even more fabulous because it's a capacity building workshop registration. So in the next minute, we're going to give away 8 registrations to NCEP's capacity building conference, which is coming up February 12th, 13th, 14th, somewhere in that range. So like last time, Beth's gonna run this trivia. Oh, I guess I have to do the slides, don't I?
Yeah,
well,
you're gonna be Alex Trebek, but I can watch
okay.
the chat and
Okay.
see who's the first to
So
respond.
we're gonna put up the slide. The first person to respond with the correct answer will win a capacity building workshop registration. If you don't want to win that, maybe don't play, I don't know, or you can gift it to someone else in your building. I think that's all the rules. Annie and Beth are going to monitor that to determine the winner. Here we go. The first one is, hey, is this allowable? This person is your go-to for getting paid.
We have a winner, Carrie. You're
Carrie.
correct.
Awesome. I think she just told me this week she doesn't want to go to capacity.
I will gift it. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I finally actually knew an answer.
All right, next one. It was Buffy, just in case you didn't get it right. Next one, texting summer camps transitions. Oh my, this individual is at your service when it comes to student support.
Oh, we have a winner. It's, who is it? Aaliyah.
Nice job. And the answer was Annie. Next one up, data collection is this person's portal to a good time. Throw in some event logistics for the ultimate experience.
Oh, we have a winner, Carrie Barnes.
All right, good job, Carrie. And that was Kelly. Kelly is all things portal and logistics. Next up, leadership, oversight, and evaluation. This teammate is a Renaissance person.
We have a winner, Garrett.
Nice job, Garrett. Thanks for knowing me. All right. This individual's middle name is Teamwork. Need help with program implementation or working with admin? Oh, maybe a little harder.
Oh, we have a winner, Haley.
Haley, nice job. New guy, it's Dan.
Yay.
And there's a resource for that. Don't recreate the wheel. Contact this person instead.
Oh, we have a winner. It's Christina Seymour.
Nice, nice.
It's me.
All right, that's Beth. And now show me the money. This teammate can help you plan financial aid filing events. Who's left?
Oh, Christina, you can't win again. Or I mean, yeah, Christina Seymour, you can't win again.
copied Christina Seymour's answer.
Matthew at Eastmont won.
Nice, nice. Okay, so we will follow up with those, is that 7 or 8 people? I lost track.
That's 7.
7, okay. 7 people for the capacity building workshop registration. So you have that information and we'll work with you on all those details. It's virtual. It was supposed to be in San Antonio. It would have been way more fun to go to San Antonio. It will be a good experience virtually as well. I think that's everything we had today. If there aren't any burning questions, we'll wrap up. And it's great to see all of you. Thank you again for making the time to be here today. We know, things continue to be challenging. So we're here cheering you on, and please don't hesitate to reach out if there's something we can do to support you. It's good to see all of you.
Beth, can I ask you a question after it's
Yeah.
all done?
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day.